Salutations and greetings, my friends. Looks like the Carbondale contingency is here. Welcome, folks. Always nice to see the mountain people, the mountain dwellers. So, of course, our work is about the beauty and the majesty of the star tetrahedron. It is the very essence of golden sunlit radiance, which is exactly what we will be chatting about today. When I was putting together the video online, I noticed it was 4/24/24. Happens to be Du Shanxi's birthday today. I do. Happy birthday to you. Everyone in their hearts sing happy birthday. So in the first emanation of energy from out of the void, it was the positive aspect, what we might say was pure positive source energy. And it then was able to begin to create triangulations of energy. A leg of that triangle from source light was energy. The next one was then vibration, and then vibration created matter. And so that was then the positive triangulation or the upper triangulation of the star tetrahedron. But with just those triangulations, no existence could happen. In order for existence to take place, there has to be the yin, the yang, the masculine, the feminine. It takes those polar opposites to come together in order to create. And so Source then mirrored itself in what we would call the negative polarity. Negative not meaning bad, but simply the opposite. And rather than light, it was dark. The dark was simply the womb, the fertile void, if you will, the fertile ground of possibilities. And so the upper triangulation was then mirrored as love, as wisdom, and action. And so love, wisdom, action with energy, vibration, and matter began to then come together. Here was the divine masculine, the divine feminine, in polar opposition still. And so there was still no creation. But then they began to move together. And as they moved together, it then created the star tetrahedron. And so this is then the mystery of the very beginning of what happened at the Big Bang. And so the upper triangulation, divine masculine power, the lower triangulation, divine feminine love. But the beauty and the mystery of it was when they came together and then began to spin, it opened a sacred doorway of vortex right in the middle, back into the void where all possibilities still existed, waiting to come forth into creation. The other kind of mystery that happened, though, with the star tetrahedron, when we look at the interior of it, it is what we call a dodecahedron. And so a dodecahedron is a 12-sided object. And as the star tetrahedron was then spinning, these 12 points then began to emanate out from the star tetrahedron. And the first emanation was then what we call the archangels. Now, the archangels that we know are Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, and the ones that are most known for the four seasons. But there are really 12 archangels of manifestation. They also coincide to the 12 tones on the piano, both the light and the dark keys, 12, as well as the 12 signs of the zodiac, which are the 12 virtues that we then who are within dimensional reality can finally hone and refine back into perfected balance. And because we have worked through all 12 of those signs of the zodiac, learning patience and love and virtue and all what the 12 are, we then become the perfected individual, and we then become the radiance of the golden star of the tetrahedron. And so we then create enlightenment and become gods walking on earth. And as this emanation in the very beginning from the 12 that went forth, you can think of them as the star tetrahedron is the president and the vice president, which is then the father, the mother. And then these are then the 12 vice presidents, if you will. And they then created from each of their emanations lines of energy going out to begin the creation of the cosmos. And from each one of those lines, they then created, this line has one coming out, and it created then 12 from it, which then created 12 more from it. And so on and on and on in a fractal type energy, the 12 simply emanated themselves through the cosmos. Now, the beauty of it was, of course, it was still within the vibration of golden liquid light, which is the mystical marriage of the divine masculine, the divine feminine. We call it the Christ energy because it is the living sunlight that emanates the 12 sounds, the 12 tones, the 12 colors that then create reality. But each of them, again, on one of these lines of energy that simply emanated through the cosmos. And so everything that was emanating in this first orchestration was in perfect balance and harmony upon the golden ray of unity and oneness. There was no separation, there was no disharmony, there was simply the emanation of perfection. And it is that perfection that then created the individual soul that you are, that I am, that everyone on the planet is, a soul of golden light perfection upon one of those specific rays of an archangel energy. We call them archangelic energy, not necessarily because they are archangels. It's just that over time has been through biblical lore, through religious identification, what they have been called, because their radiance was so magnificent. It looked angelic, and it looked like it was beyond the scope of something that could even be conceived. And so it was called archangelic energy. But it's just a wave of light coming from source oneness. And each of us then living upon one of those rays of energy that from the stepping down of from vice president to vice president to vice president, down and down and down, we then as the soul, we're living in perfection. And so everything within the whole cosmos was simply upon this golden wave of living light and perfection. So everything was known. There was no unknown. It was always, we know what's going to happen next because we're living on this ray of what is already the golden oneness of living light. But then after many billions of years of that, they say that our Big Bang is about 13.5 billion years ago. Well, of course, that's a very long time. About 5 billion years ago, there was then the beginning of the formation of the Earth, the sun, the solar system. And it was the opportunity to create a world of three-dimensionality where souls in their perfection, these golden light beings that you are, that I am, that we could begin to have a new game, so to speak. And that new game, what if we were able to move down into three-dimensionality and forget that we are these divine beings of living light? We would then be kind of, if you will, interested that we can now create something new and different. We're no longer simply flowing like a river in its perfection down through the valley. The river goes, well, I want to go this way and I want to go that way. Well, what if I do this? And so we begin to create perturbations or waves of disharmony within the wave of perfection, which then became the unconscious. It became what we call the darkness. It became emotion. It became separation from the oneness. But it was just an experiment that was interesting for us because if we could go into the worlds of three-dimensionality and put on the fields of unconsciousness, three-dimensional form, and over time learn how to perfect power, divine masculine, learn how to love unconditionally by the lessons of good, bad, light, dark, power that we had played over literally thousands of years upon the planet, we would come to the time where we could begin to marry those perfect energies back together. And as we then begin to marry it back together, we then begin to literally embody the golden light of the perfection of the soul once again within form. And so I was speaking with a client just a couple of days ago, and her question was, when we begin to embody the golden light, does it dispel the darkness? Does it simply flow it out from us? And I was explaining to her that even that which we call the darkness, even that which we call materiality, even that which is unconscious, is still originally emanated from source. And so there's a vibration at the core still of all creation of golden liquid light. It's unseen, it's unknown, but it's there as this almost silent vibration, always within the darkest materiality, the most unconscious thing that's happening. It's still Source God that is the only creator. And so when we begin to embody the golden light of the soul, which is the perfection of the golden light you are, and it now is flowing and moving back down at the body, it begins to move through the emotion of, let's say, sadness or loneliness or frustration or anger. The golden light doesn't dislike it or judge it or try and get rid of it. It simply keeps weaving ever deeper within and looking for that which is the vibration of perfection that exists at the core of all creation. And the moment the golden light of the soul touches that which is perfection, it is then unconditional self-love. I love which I am. I support that which I am. I honor and respect that which I am, which is source. God I am lives within me. And in that moment, the emotion of separation simply disappears. It comes from out of a counterclockwise spiral of live spelled backwards, which we call EVIL, evil, back into a vibration that's a clockwise spiral of living once again in recognition that I am source, I am God, I am the divine. I am the perfect soul that I originally came forth from out of creation, and I now exist within three-dimensionality, and I now have free will to create within the worlds of form something that has never been created, something totally new and different. No longer simply existing upon the waves of the living river that flows from source on high in the other dimensions, but coming out of it. And again, from this experiment of then moving into three-dimensionality and awakening within form, I am God working and living within three-dimensionality. I can then allow three-dimensionality then to be woven and to be painted and to be manifested into such unique ways that never been seen before, because it's no longer upon the wave of that which is the higher dimensions. It's free will. And so this is what Source has been looking for. How can it create free will? And we are the outpost of those beings who have decided to come into three-dimensionality. It's pretty thick and sticky, I think you will admit. But we're now coming to the point in time where the vibration of the planet is awakening once again. And as the light within begins to arise forth, the darkness looks pretty strong. It looks like it's pretty kind of serious out there. But it's just an illusion. It's an illusion of that which is the ignorance beginning to be, if you will, brought to the surface so it can be once again embraced in love. And when is it embraced in love, it simply gives itself up to the light once again. If we're fighting against the darkness or disliking the darkness, it simply then creates more energy around it of separation. And so fighting for truth isn't it. It's been able to love so powerfully and unconditionally that your energy simply weaves through that which is the feeling of separation that is being held by someone or something in the world. But if you don't judge it or criticize or dislike it, your unconditional Christ energy can keep flowing deeper and deeper until it acknowledges and finds that seed, that tiniest kernel within every atom of creation that is source, that is simply saying, touch me, and I will awaken back into life. And the separation and the illusion of the light and dark shadow play will be gone. It's really very simple, but in the simplicity of it, it's not a fight. It's not trying to use power to make something different or trying to change something. Once again, that's the third chakra of power. If I make it different, I'll be happier. If I love the totality of that which I am, because I've found my own darkness, which is the gift that you have given yourself, and been able to weave through it and find, well, what was within the darkness within me, my anger, my loneliness, my suffering. And then you simply acknowledge that that seed of living light is there. The God I am is still within me. You wake up. And so you then have the power over darkness, not to try and change it, but to even embrace it and love it, to transmute it. And so I was explaining to this individual that this is the power that Jesus had. He was able to manifest and fully become the Christed energy, a man becoming the Christ energy. Christ is not a person. Christ is the origination of the star tetrahedron at the very beginning of creation, upon which all rays of energy then proceeded forth into manifestation. And when power and love are united within you, you then once again become that living Christ energy. And so you become Christed. And so when Jesus saw someone who was in sin or ignorance, he wasn't trying to change them or make them different. The vibration that literally emanated from his heart, from the open doorway, God I am, he said, as the Father flows from me like a living spring, it moves through their darkness, their ignorance, their separation, and it finds and touches that kernel, that seed within all creation that is always and will be source oneness. And as it touched it and began to vibrate back into life, the individual could no longer hold their own illusions of separation, their own ignorant dreams that something's wrong with me. It's just a dream of separation. But as then the light touched that which is the truth beneath all this, and it woke up inside, they simply then were healed instantaneously. No trying, no effort, no, I got to make it different. I got to fight to heal them. It was simply just like the sun. It emanates, and the fruit's fruit, the flower's flower, the grass grows. It's just a natural phenomena. That's what the golden light is. It's creation from the very unity of God the Father with God the Mother, creating this golden radiance of living sunlight that heals and renews all creation. Your soul already is that. And so when we meditate, we're bringing more of that golden light within. And from inside out, the golden light is then touching the seeds of truth within. And bit by bit, the darkness is being dispelled. It's just a spell that's been put upon us in our own ignorance. And it's a choice that we made because we wanted to come into this three-dimensional world. It's an experiment. Can we come out of the oneness of source light, flow into the deep, dark mud of separation where masculine power and feminine love and emotion are separate and warring against each other? But through all of our working through anger and frustration and loneliness and wanting and needing, continue to bring it back together into the divine union. That's where we're at on the planet. And that's why the star tetrahedron is such an important tool in our awakening. It already is the perfection of the Christed energy. And so as we imagine it and as we feel it, It's already emanating from inside out. It's seeding the cells and the tissues with a new vibration. It's flowing out into the world, and it's already changing the vibration of the world. And we're not trying to change the world. We don't need to change it. It's already beneath it is the perfection of Source God I Am. We're simply dispelling the illusion by bringing such tremendous love and light. But also, Jesus said, "Go forth and sin no more." Because of those individuals went forth and put on ignorance or sinned. Sin is simply meaning off the mark, missed mark, error. Not bad. We have made it a word that sounds bad, and you have sinned, and you now have to have shame, and we have to punish you. You just missed the mark. Well, let's find together what is the new mark. What is the new way that we can come together? And when we do that, we then bring, as Jesus did, light and love and healing, and life awakens from inside out. So that's where we are at this very beautiful time on the planet. So that's why golden light is so important, because it's the mystical marriage of light and dark. If we have just white light in our three-dimensional world, it creates the polar opposite of darkness. When you have a photograph, if you took all of the white dots away, there would be nothing but black paper. If you took all the black dots away, you just have white paper. When you have the two together in juxtaposition, playing off each other, you have manifestation. But if you then come together in golden light, which then has all the 12 colors of the creation within it, you can then manifest and create things that are magnificent. The loaf and the fish arises forth. The healing is instantaneous. So, very exciting time. Of course, one of the things that we know assists us in this work of bringing the liquid golden light from inside out is our breath work. When we're breathing in deeply, we're literally breathing from out of the open doorway within the heart, liquid golden light. Source is arising forth from within. This is why the star tetrahedron is such an important instrument. It is a tool of light and consciousness. And when the power and love is united, it creates a vortex right in the very middle of the star tetrahedron. And that vortex is then the dodecahedron, from which the 12 archangels went forth into creation. But as we then open the doorway, simply Source now streaming forth, and as we then make choices to have desires and the joy of our creation, then the energy of the 12 archangels coming from our heart chakra, we become a creator. So our breath work is very important to allow liquid living sunlight to arise forth. And then as we exhale, we simply watch it move from around us out into the environment, just like the sun. And we come back to another deep in breathing, deep belly breathing, silent and quiet. And as we're breathing in, we're literally seeing and feeling liquid golden light coming into this dimension. We're literally bringing it into this dimension. Exhale, sparkling, effervescent light. So I'm going to take you through about a 5-minute meditation where we then move through this. I'll simply take you through the whole sequencing. So just by closing the eyes, we feel the body relaxing. Spine nice and straight. Above is the energy of divine power. Beneath, the energy of divine love, creating a tube of living light, the spinal column. And as we in-breathe slowly and deeply, We're feeling the liquid golden light arising from the doorway within the heart. We are summoning and bringing the unfulfilled void into golden manifestation. Gentle exhale, and we imagine sparkling, effervescent golden light streaming out into the world. I am the light. Breathing deeply, summoning from out of the open doorway the oneness of Source into this dimension. Whenever we breathe in this conscious way, we are expanding the universe. From out of the void, we are summoning Source into light manifestation. This is my destiny, to bring Source light into this dimension and to see it as sparkling sunlight and peace flowing out into the world. I expand the very nature of creation. As the golden light touches the cells and the tissues of my body, new light, new healing. I am the light. Imagine yourself like the physical sun. The heart is glowing all around, radiance. Breathing in Source, flowing out radiance. Such a simple tool we can use throughout the day to simply dispel the ignorance of the moment, not try and change it, but bring the living light. If you stand in the shadow and it's cold, and you step out to the sun, there's warmth. I am the light. By consciously breathing, summoning Source into this dimension, I expand creation. I bring light to earth. Imagine when there are billions of us emanating sunlight around the planet. There could be no wars, no discomfort. A time of great peace and plenty. As Jesus said, I am the way shore. I am the door. The door is the vortex within the middle of the star tetrahedron. And a couple of more deep, deep breaths. And when it feels comfortable, to allow yourself to slowly come back into the now, sparkling and radiant. This must be how Tinkerbell felt, floating around, emanating sparkling light. When I was growing up, it was always such a favorite thing to think about Peter Pan and Wendy and flying. I had so many dreams when I was a young kid about flying. Did you do Peter Pan? Yeah.
Sometimes.
Peter Pan and Wendy and out the window and off on an adventure. What an amazing thing. Walt Disney really brought a lot of beauty and grace into our lives. It's quite wonderful. So I'm going to take you through the whole development of the star tetrahedron. It's really quite simple. The upper triangulation of divine power is moving left to right, and the lower triangulation is moving right to left. And it's these opposing vortexes of energy, triangulations, that then creates the vortex, which is then the 12-sided dodecahedron, the jewel in the lotus. And it now is the open doorway from which source arises forth. It touches the facets of the spinning star, and it literally refracts, reflects, and remembers sunlight and peace shining into the world. Very, very simple. So let's go ahead and close the eyes once again and feel the body relaxing. Once again, remembering our breath work. It relaxes the body, it opens the doorway. The spine is nice and straight. And we bring our attention between the eyebrows. Within the very center point of the head is the seat of the soul. Perfection, golden liquid light perfection. And gently holding attention here, we feel the light of the soul increasing. Filling the mind and filling the brain with sunlight and peace. We gently bring the light down to the heart chakra, the sternum, where we illuminate what already exists, the star tetrahedron. It's imagination, seeing, feeling, day by day, upper triangulation of divine power, lower triangulation of divine feminine love. And as we sit within the center, observing this moving triangulation all around us, I'm not outside observing it. I'm inside, feeling it all around me. I am the living light. And from out of the sacred doorway within the heart, Source is arising forth. Touching the facets of this outrageous spinning star, the Christed star, and golden sunlight and peace, sparkling and effervescent, radiant all around us, the body being healed and renewed, life all around being ignited. I am the light. I will join with you and we will create light activation together. And very easily, slowly coming back into the moment of the now. So thank you for coming to the dance of light. And now we know why golden light. It's the sunlight of the soul, perfection of that which you are, God, I am. I am the light. Thank you, my friends. We'll see you soon.